like tree tops. And so I want the tree tops to have a base behind them. So this gives me that base behind them that is dynamic, not flat, rather than my tree tops on white paper. So I had to do something in the sky. Connecting it all the way through is a great way for me to not have to decide now where my tree tops will be. So in some ways it does work really well for all that. Let me see, double check my color. That's looking just fine. I could add a little bit more water because I don't know if I'll have enough of it, but that's the only reason really. And I would just drop in from my fresh water and mix it, mix, and we're ready. So what I'm gonna do is start with a trunk, and I want it to be kind of wet. So that wasn't really wet enough. I can kind of wet that more. And now I'm just gonna do some dots, dabs, blobs, whatever you wanna call them, down the trunk, kind of widening out as I go. And then I can get kind of blurry here because I want to put in another trunk. So I want to keep this wet. So I am going to add more. I want to make sure I kind of reload before my brush runs out anywhere. Do another trunk and more branches where they're just really loosely painted into the other tree. So they should really flow together. You want to leave some negative spaces so you don't want to hit everywhere and everything, right? So I'm starting to run out of paint, so I'm picking more up so I can keep everything wet. If I want to, because I'm in a section here between two trees, between this tree, that tree, I can mix up a little orange. I should have done it already. Same orange I had before, and have this kind of come into that purple. Once again, leaving really indistinct shapes along the ground here because I just don't want to have to define my hill at all. And this forces me, or doesn't force me to. So the shapes can be big or small, they can be angular, they can be straight lined, hard lined, rounded, up to you. We're gonna keep going, then we're gonna pick up this purple again and decide where I can put the next tree top. It would be kind of fun to put one, I think, right here, even though there's another tree there. So I'm just gonna blob right down into this other tree and then get to paint, negative painting around where my tree is gonna go, right? So a couple blobs to show either side. And you might have a tree where this will come up, and you might not have a tree where this will come up too badly. But I decided to put it right there, so this was something I have to do with now. Right, so negative painting, I'm just painting behind. If your tree is dark, you can give it a little extra breadth on one side or the other to give it that space that you need. And I'm gonna absorb a little so they draw the same color, because this having so wet, it's gonna dry a little darker, right? So just lifting it a little to match, and I'm gonna keep going. Can't really get one here because this is in between a low branch, but I can do my spaces, negative spaces, pick up my orange. I didn't even rinse my brush at all, and throw that into the hill. I'm gonna clean it though before picking up purple again. Now I can decide, do I want another tree top here? I think I do, tree top, and just tap in. And negative spaces are nice, so I can leave more or less. Same thing, negative painting around here, giving extra space. If it's a dark line instead of a light line there, I can give extra space. Same thing with this, negative spaces, right? Leaving it juicy, keeping loaded, so that I can later come back and put the gold color orange in there. And this is another thing, it's too dark, so I'm gonna take a little water, but I'm gonna blot off my water first. So I'm just placing what's there rather than adding a whole bunch of water and then having that wash back up. So if I need to add water, blot first. The water has more surface tension than the rest. Keep it going, I can clean that up a little bit to go behind that tree. And then we're gonna keep this going. And once again, negative spaces. Find a tree top, blob it out. Maybe another one right next to each other. So the tree tops, and then they run together, and they have negative spaces to decide. You can decide how far your hill goes up here. Oop, that's really dark. So I'm gonna add water, blot it off, and just spread out what I already have, but blot it again, right, to get that to move in the way I wanted it without just throwing a bunch more water on there. I'm going to keep going a couple more, but this can get sort of indistinct at this point, and I want to sort of move it into my mountain. So I guess I forgot to mix up more for the mountain. So we have cobalt for the mountain. And I'm just gonna do with this immediately, just kind of swapping into some of the cobalt right into this. There's this little distant hill that I can start getting. And I should have also had my green pre-mixed. So I'm gonna do that right now, just with a little light green and a dark green, and throw a touch of that in there. So we've got this sort of distant horizon. It's all still a little too saturated compared to the painting. So again, I'm dabbing off, but I'm displacing with some water to kind of move and soften this. And you notice I'm using this a lot to remove excess pigment that I don't want. So this makes it mistier, right? A little mistier, magical. I'm gonna add more water to my cobalt. And we're gonna do the mountain. So I have a little bit of a tree here to go around. But my main thing with the mountain is that I'm also doing treetops that connect at the base. But these treetops are little teensy ones, like just kind of irregular marks with my the tip of my brush. And then I want to also fill underneath. So leaving some negative spaces still, so that I can do a couple extra rows of other little trees, right? So trees at the very top, angular, negative spaces, and other additional rows can go in there. You can leave this thicker or less thick, depending on how dimensional you want your mountain to look, right? But if whatever you do, the mind will also make it make sense. So I can put this green in here into this little blue streak I just did, do those treetops, and look how it softens naturally at the base because I already had some of that wet blue there. I can also do little dib-dabs here on the mountain. It's up to me, it's up to you how expressive to get with this. But this is really the only time we're doing the mountain. We're not gonna really come back for it unless you really just can't help it. So if you want more detail to really match what they have, this is the time to kind of keep going, right? And decide, well, how dark do I want it? And what colors do I want? And where do I want them? You wanna make sure you continue your mountain across the tree, big deal, right? Super common that we skip that part. So here, I'm doing little tree tops at the top of my shapes, just with the tip of the brush, just kind of massaging it almost up and down. A little bit bluer, but I'm running out. Let's see how much. So mixing color on the fly is not my favorite, so I'm sorry to be doing it like that, but you can prepare better than me. So these down and filling a little bit. So they're not just rows of trees, right, but sort of filled shapes. And then here I can also, once I get a little bit of this in, just to kind of create a wetter base, I can do more trees into here, right? So I've got a couple negative space trees there, but I can do another stem or trunk and put these trees dramatically into the wet, right? It's kind of fun, expressive. Negative spaces again. And then we just bring that orange back. So I'm gonna rinse because I don't have very much orange, so I just need to mix it. More water, and then it should still be wet enough, dabbing it off a touch, for that to just soften into what I have for my head. And that's really it. I could have gone a little more intense up here, so I could come back and bring this in. I think I might still have orange on my brush. But you know, once it's dry, you might just want to let it be, and come back in another second go. Questions for me?